All right, so example, apples and apples. The number of apples produced by a single Fuji apple tree is normally distributed. So we'll let A or F equal the number of apples from a Fuji tree. It is normally distributed with a mean of 625 apples and a standard deviation of 180 apples. Number of apples from a Honeycrisp tree are normally distributed with a mean of 810 and a standard deviation of 250. Suppose you purchase 2 of these trees, 1 of each type, find the mean and standard deviation of mean and standard deviation of the total number of apples produced by both these trees combined, and describe the shape. All right, so the mean, so we got a new variable, call it T for total. That's going to be my F plus my H. It's the number of apples produced by the Fuji tree plus the Honeycrisp tree apples. So the expected value of T is just going to be the expected value of F plus the expected value of H. That is simply going to be the 625 plus the 810. That is 1435 apples. Standard deviation of Y. Well, first of all, we can't calculate this until we know that H and F are independent. Normally on the AP test, it would tell you that they're independent. If they're not independent, by the way, we cannot do the standard deviation. So we need independence. Do you think it's reasonable that if a Fuji tree produces less apples, that the Honeycrisp tree will not be influenced by that? Or do you think less apples by the Fuji tree would be associated with less apples from the Honeycrisp tree? I don't. You could probably make some arguments both ways, but let's just assume that these are independent. If we treat the trees properly, we plant them right, we nourish them right, we do what we're supposed to do, you know, their number of apples they produce, I would think would be independent of each other. So let's assume independence. If we assume independence, now we can calculate this. We do not add the standard deviations. That's the most common mistake. We add the variances to get the variance. Then we take the square root of the variances added together to get the standard deviation. Square root, 180 squared plus 250 squared is 308. 308.1 apples. If the Fuji trees are normal and the Honeycrisp trees are normal and they're independent, then T is approximately normally distributed as well. You will make a profit off this investment if the trees produce at least 900 apples combined. So I'm going to make a profit if that happens. Find the probability that you make a profit. So I make a profit if the total number of apples is greater than or equal to 900. Since this is a normal distribution, I should be able to calculate this probability. The mean of T is 1435. Standard deviation of T is 308.1. I want the probability that it's 900 or more. There's a good chance this is going to happen. This would be a pretty high probability. Norm CDF, lower bound 900, upper bound infinity. Mean was 1435. Standard deviation was my last answer. 95.9%. About 96% chance. It's pretty good probability of a profit. Heights of men and women. The heights of women are approximately normal with the mean of that. I think I got a typo here. The heights of women are approximately normal with mean of that, and the heights of men are approximately normally distributed with a mean of, so women's heights have a mean of 64.6, standard deviation of 2.4, men 69.7, standard deviation of 2.7. Suppose you randomly select a couple and sum the heights. So the expected value of S is simply the 64.6 plus the 69.7, whatever that is, pounds, who cares. The standard deviation of their combined height, can't do. Can't do it because the heights of the men and the women are not independent. We're selecting them as a couple. The guy's height is going to influence the girl's height. The girl's height is going to influence the guy's height. They're not independent, so we really don't know how to calculate that standard deviation. By the way, there is a way to do it. It's just beyond the scope of this course, and you also need some more information. All right, so this is a little bit strange, but just to get you thinking a little bit, in algebra, x plus x is equal to 2x, and of course the same is true in statistics. It's always true. However, we need to be careful with notation when we're dealing with random variables. If we let x equal the face showing on a single roll of a random die, what does x plus x represent? Exactly. So if I roll a die and I get a 2 showing up, x plus x means on my single roll, I'm going to take the outcome on one face and add the outcome on the same face. So it's going to be 2 plus 2. I'm not rolling it 2 different times. It's the same roll. Therefore, x plus x does equal 2x. If I take 2 plus 2, that's the same as taking 2 times 2. Okay? However, if we let x sub 1 equal the outcome of a first roll of the die and x sub 2 equal the outcome of the second roll, although these are outcomes of the same random phenomenon, they are different in that they come from a different trial of the same phenomenon. So what does x1 plus x2 represent? Well, that represents rolling one die and getting a 2, and rolling a second die and getting a 3, for instance. Now, does x1 plus x plus x equal 2x? Of course, the answer is no. Why? Because you're rolling 2 different die and you're not going to get the same outcome. So you're not just going to double the one outcome. You're going to get 2 different outcomes and add them together. You got to be careful because these are handled in different ways in statistics whenever we ask you to calculate. Actually, the expected value is going to be the same. What changes is how you handle the standard deviation and variance. So here we go. Why casinos always win. Of course, we know casinos make lots and lots of money. Why are they guaranteed to make money? This is my attempt to kind of illustrate why that is. Actually, 8:30. I think maybe we should put this onto the next video.